Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I look a bit different. I got some makeup on. I'm actually doing a follow-up after the video I did this morning around lunchtime. I guess it was about lunchtime. Because obviously I would overthink this and I would send my mind into more analytics of what I was pondering. So I'm gonna still add to it because whether it's overthinking or not, I think it still should be added and it still should be put into perspective of the subject that I just discussed. So what I wanted to add is when I was driving after that, I was like, what if I'm just, rationalizing and trying to come up with an excuse to not do healing work? Okay, this is what popped in my mind. The whole like, what if we don't need to heal? What if we don't need to be fixed? Blah, blah, blah. What if we're not broken? And I was like, what if that's just my ego telling me, what if that's just my ego trying to rationalize the situation and like prevent me from moving forward, from healing and from fixing myself? And I know that if I thought about that, I'm probably not the only person that would listen to that video and think about that. So just so you know, I thought about it. It popped in my mind. And I think it's very reasonable to question oneself about everything. And I'm not saying this in the sense where I want to overthink it and then just get all fucking confused and lost. But I still think it's worth noting that I did think about it, about the whole, what if, this is just my ego that doesn't want me to heal, which is fine. So that being said, once I come to that conclusion, I still kind of like it's still there. I'm still aware of it. But as I was still pondering about the idea of adding to the subconscious programming rather than subtracting it, rather than trying to fix and heal it, to just dig deeper. And I forgot, I probably added this in my other recent videos about the whole healing, but because of the migraines and all that I mentioned, and the pain and all that. So I did, since all that happened, I have had only one actual, I think, migraine, where it was an actual migraine. It's probably still stress related. I did come to the conclusion that a lot of my stress and panic and anxiety that was due to certain aspects were tied to the masculine principle that, whenever I was feeling too rigid was triggering me anxiety and definitely bringing along a lot of migraine pain. So aside of that though, I do think, and I watched a Brian Scott video, and I'm gonna give him credit because I found it hard to follow. That video was difficult for me to follow because it was a lot. Whenever I listen to words, I'm not auditive, I'm very visual. So I have to, like, whatever I'm listening to, it has to go into image form in my mind to make like a story or an image or a sequence that makes sense so that I can actually understand it, which I'm sure a lot of people are like that also. But I had trouble when I was listening to his video because it was about Quo and it was about depression. I had some trouble trying to like translate the words into actual imagery so that I could like effectively understand it. But Quo also, like Ra, it's very like, sometimes the words are very technical and it's hard to kind of like find an imagery that's easy to translate. Anyway, I kind of repeated myself. I know you guys probably get what I mean. But my point was that there was a very significant, valid point that was raised, and it was touched on in the Law of One series. I forget which book it was. But it was about the effective use of catalysts and how, I'm just going to summarize a little bit my own understanding in my own words, that when you have anxiety and depression, usually it can be used as, it's like a signal. It's like a signal that there's a life lesson or a catalyst that's not being used effectively, or that's being stagnant, or that you're kind of like, you're not getting it. When I say catalyst, I'm referring to like a life lesson, like a major thing that happens that's there to teach you something. So assuming, you know, life is like school and we're here to learn and we're here to progress on our own, in our own way. I used to think, now this was the comprehension that I made after the video that helped kind of put something in perspective. Is that because I was a long time studier of, not a long time, I'm a long time sufferer of depression and anxiety. And I'd say that most of it started early teenage years. And it's always been a constant battle. Very constant battle. It was very difficult. So, and up to recently, when I started doing my shadow work last year, I was like, yay, I think I finally, you know, beat my anxiety and my depression, because things were going well and everything was like progressing nicely. And I actually had this impression that depression and anxiety was like a one thing, you know, one thing. I could actually almost fit that in a box. Like, I thought it was one thing that you had to like overcome or heal or whatever, as opposed to it being a tool. I hadn't really considered that. And it's funny because I'm jumping off on another tangent here. I actually thought that I like failed recently, because I was like, oh damn it, I'm going back into depression and anxiety. Fuck, I failed. I really didn't heal. I didn't do it. I didn't make it. Damn. And I got upset with myself, and then that obviously led me down another spiral of the same crappy thoughts. And when I listened to that video the other night, it helped me see it in a way different light, where I was like, have I been seeing this wrong? Like, it never clued into me, and I'm gonna be forgiving with myself. It never clued in that I should have known this, but it's okay. I forgive myself. It's okay. It's okay. I got a lot going on in my brain. But that anxiety and depression are like just a red flag, like a signal, like a tool that you use, you know, to go and deal with whatever needs to be dealt with. So I had this idea, it was this one thing, you put it in a box, and then once you overcome it and you heal it, you're good to go, and it doesn't come back. No. Just like migraines, you know, or pain of any kind, physical pain, it's like the same thing. It's a tool, you know, you use the tool to then go and, you know the self. So that was a big eye-opener. I'm not done, like I said, I'm not done processing all that, because I feel like I just got into another chapter of like learning and I want to say healing, but now it's like I'm questioning my own self on that, you know, because I'm thankful, because last year I had that huge like shatter moment where my whole fucking inner matrix collapsed. And ever since then, like, I had an intense learning period after that, and then it kind of slowed down and everything was kind of like easing into itself. And I'd say early 2022, up until spring, up until I got my job, everything was on a really smooth, like a smooth uphill. I was very positive, and I felt like I was getting it, you know, and it was like, it was going good, and it did, in essence. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix the back of my phone. And it did, in essence. And then all of a sudden, not long ago, everything kind of felt like it was kind of like going back down again, and I got kind of worried. And yeah, so, you know, from my standpoint now, and I really wanted to share this because I do think it's important that if you're on a path to knowing the self, and how about I just call it this for now, just because I'm not sure how to navigate with this information, and when it comes to healing and fixing and all that, like the fixing and healing thing, I'm not sure how I feel about that right now. Like, I really have to consider other options, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to make damn sure this information sticks into my brain. But how about for now, I'm going to replace healing with knowing the self. I'm going to just replace it with that. Just for shits and giggles. And to that, yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to say, was to just remind myself and whoever's interested, if this isn't of interest, that sometimes, we might not need to heal the self. We just need to know the self. Get to know yourself. And it's funny, right? Because I have explored and dabbled. I forget when I did this. I did this not too long ago, and I think it was on that last. I think it was the last small, very, very small mushroom trip that I had, which I haven't even discussed. I'm at 10 minutes. I'm gonna really try and squeeze this in. So it was a like very, very low, like 1 gram, like 1.5 gram dose. And I kept trying to I was like, no, I don't want to do any learning tonight. I just want to enjoy the pretty colors, and just relax and giggle and feel good. And I kept trying to change positions, and I kept trying to have these visions that I was seeing last time, which were so mind-blowing. And it wasn't happening. It was all internal, and I couldn't get away from it. And at the end of it, when I ended up going to bed, it was one of the mushroom ladies. It was the one it's this lady that she's kind of big. She reminds me of a tribe woman. She's super, super fucking upfront with how she talks, and she doesn't let me get away with shit at all. Whether she's an aspect of myself or not, it doesn't matter. I like giving her a character. I think it's beautiful to see it that way, because I need to associate with other women, and I think that's how my brain processes that I need to connect with other women, outside of my own self. So that's why maybe it's working that way for me, where I'm growing to trust, love, and admire other women for their kick-ass nature. Which is funny, because all my friends that I've ever chose in life, my girlfriends, let's say, which I don't have a lot of, I've always chosen extremely strong-willed, strong women that had a very strong sense of kick-ass feminine. And I think I know why, because I always lacked it, and I always admired it, and I was intimidated by it, honest to God. So going back, the lady, the mushroom lady, I wish I could give her a name or something, the tribe lady. She was giving me shit. She's like, you're trying to run from it, you're not going to get away from it, stop ignoring us. We have something to go explore, we need to look at it. And it was about an outburst that I had on that during that week, that was about fear of abandonment issues. So we went back, we did the whole walk backwards until I was actually in my first month of birth, after birth, in the hospital, and I literally was like baby Jen, looking up at the ceiling, crying hysterically, alone. And all I remember was just being alone and crying, and I wanted comfort. I needed comfort. I just wanted comfort. And I mean, it's not my fault. I was born premature. I had to stay at the hospital for a month. It certainly wasn't my parents' fault. It certainly wasn't the hospital's fault. And trust me, I know that, and I'm very lucid of it. But they still made me walk all the way back. They made me go visit, my parents. They made me go visit generational trauma that was general aspect of generational trauma, and also some personal aspects of generational trauma that went through my own family. And so it made me visit a lot of stuff. And I mean, those 3 sessions that I did have, they were like a Pandora's box, where they opened stuff up. And even though you feel like you do a shit ton of work in one night, let's say the first session I had probably, I don't remember. Let's say in total, those 3 sessions, I probably had about an 8 hours of intense internal work, walk through with guides, like a walk through. Let's say over 3, divide it in 3. So let's say 8 hours of work. So, and that was deep, intense. There's no way I could ever explain everything that I saw and went through and felt and all that, and nobody ever can, right? But earlier I was thinking about this today, and I was like, there's no way that, like we say we can not cut corners with psychedelic therapy, and because a lot happens in such a short span. But I mean, the aftermath of that span, if you think about it, takes a long time to like unpack and go look at. So I'm still feeling like after those 3 sessions took place, even if it was like, what, now we're like a month and a half down the road, 2 months ish, and I can honestly say I'm still unpacking. I'm still looking at stuff, and I'm still processing. And I don't think you can force that kind of stuff. I think that it literally happens with life, with catalysts, things that happen, things that arise, and you can't escape it, because once you open that Pandora's box, I mean, it's coming. And it's gonna happen, and you kind of have to. This is what the feminine principles also trying to teach me: is you gotta let it happen when it happens. It's when it happens, you know. And trust me, they spoke to me about healing and all that, and I spoke about it in my previous videos. And I'm not negating what I said in those terms when I speak about healing and the subconscious programming and all that, because that's still the basis of information that led me to exactly what I'm talking about right now. So in no way am I negating that. I'm adding to it. So basically, I'm adding information. I can't really subtract any information right now. I think all I can do is move towards a more cohesive sort of completion, not completion, an adding of information. So let's say moving forward, when I make videos, I know I'm going to probably say this again, but whereas old videos I made and I said that they made me cringe and all that, and yeah, I still kind of cringe, but you know what? I shouldn't cringe. I should actually just accept moving forward that I'm always just adding information, in the sense where I'm always just learning more about myself and sharing it with you guys. Just because, you know, I'm documenting my journey, and I have no idea where any of this is leading or going, but I wanted to add this little tidbit about the depression and the anxiety being used as tools and as flags to go look at your catalysts. And so wow, it took all this time to get to this point, and there's 17 minutes in. To conclude this video, which is where I wanted to get to, is that, shit, did I lose my train of thought? Because I got distracted. Damn it, I like had it. I was so gonna conclude this video and it was gonna end beautifully. Well then, okay. This might not have worked out the way I wanted to. Shit, I can't leave you guys on like a cliffhanger like that. Oh my gosh, I'm not proud about this one. Hey, oh yes, I got it. And you know how I thought about it? Because I said I wasn't proud. Can you imagine? That's how I remembered. Okay, so my trigger: fear of failure. Fear of failure, fear of failure, fear of failure. So that's kind of the catalyst I think I'm in right now. I think a lot of all of this catalyst that I've been going through that brought me back into depression and anxiety, I do believe it's probably the catalyst at hand is the fear of failure. Failure tied to success, tied to the masculine principle. And I do need to find a way, and I will somehow find a way to balance it out. To not subtract, not seek to take away, but to just add to. So we're going to leave it on that. Oh, 19 minutes. Oh, you poor people having to put up with me. I'm kidding. Okay, so adding, not subtracting. Just keep on knowing the self.